There's no such thing as a magic insolvency button that you can press and everything will go away. You cannot walk away from your debts, keep company assets and leave everything in the sunset and get a clean break. And if you're being told you can, either you're misunderstanding it or the person telling you is misrepresenting it. Now recently, there's been a number of companies linked to a scheme offering exactly that. Basically, pay us X £1,000 and you can walk off into the sunset. Now, £80 million in assets were lost. There were 75 companies that have been involved. This is a widespread insolvency scam and I want to warn you about it. Now, I know why directors fall for it. It's not generally because of dishonest people, but you're under pressure. You want a solution. You're being chased by HMRC. You're being threatened by suppliers. You can't pay your staff. You're losing sleep. And someone says to you, listen, don't worry. We're going to take this off your hands. You can walk off into the sunset. And you think, oh, that sounds like the oxygen I need. But that oxygen isn't legal and it's going to suffocate you later on. Now, what does a proper insolvency process look like? Well, let's slow it down. If a company's insolvent, there are lawful processes available. You've got liquidation. This is the most common route. And when it's used correctly, basically you'll stop trading, you appoint a licensed insolvency practitioner, okay? The licensed insolvency practitioner tries to realise the assets at a market value and distribute funds according to who's owed what and the hierarchy of who gets paid. They're going to review the director's conduct and send a report into the insolvency service, and eventually they'll dissolve the company. And the key thing here is the process is transparent. Assets are valued independently. Creditors are treated fairly, okay? You don't just drop the debt. You accept that the company cannot pay it and you make an appointment of an insolvency practitioner. Or you've got administration. And administration is used when there is a viable business in and amongst all the mess. And the administration will provide a better return to creditors than liquidation, okay? Now, in administration, the minute you appoint an administrator, the company is protected. Nobody can have a pop at you legally. It stops the legal action and it allows the administrator to either restructure, it allows the administrator to sell the assets of the business, normally back to the directors of the insolvency company, okay? Insolvent company. And everyone's informed, it's transparent. Assets are sold at proper value, there's no secrecy. Or you've got something like a CVA, company voluntary arrangement, and it is a formal insolvency process that allows you to repay the debts over an extended period of time. It has to be approved by creditors. It's structured. There is compliance. It doesn't erase the debt, it restructures it, okay? Now, what these schemes are promising, they're being called the Atherton scheme because that was the original company that was selling this idea. But basically, they say, listen, we'll buy your company for £1. We'll take on all your liabilities. We'll get rid of the assets. They don't maintain the records. You, the director, get basically replaced by a paid nominee. Oh, and by the way, you, the director, will have to pay them 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 grand to do it, okay? Now, it undermines the entire insolvency framework because the insolvency law exists to protect creditors. It's there to protect directors. It's there to protect HMRC. It's there to protect employees, taxpayers. Now, when assets are separated from liabilities without this process being followed, that protection collapses. Now, these firms that are offering those, they are not licensed insolvency practitioners. And just for the record, neither am I, right? As you hopefully will know, I've been doing these videos for years and years. I am the #1 advisor in the UK for directors, okay? Insolvency practitioners are there to advise companies, not advise directors, and they have, they're basically representing creditors, okay? So when you work with me and you want to go through an insolvency process, it'll always be carried out by a licensed insolvency practitioner. But these firms don't have anyone behind them that are license holders. Now you can liquidate a business and move the assets to another company It's called a pre-pack, but it has to be done legitimately. Some people call it phoenixing. And listen, phoenixing, if you do it right, is legal. And the right way that it looks is either you go into a formal insolvency process, whether liquidation or administration, assets are independently valued, and whoever's buying the assets are buying them at a market value. Okay, you are paying a proper consideration. If you are using a same or similar company name, you're following the guidance on section 216, which basically means that there's 3 ways you can use a same or similar name. Remember, when you go through an insolvency process, section 216 says you cannot, as a director, be involved in a company that has a same or similar name to the company that's just gone through the insolvency process, unless, number 1, you apply to the courts. Number 2, you already have a company set up that's been trading over 12 months with a similar name. Or number 3, which is generally the easiest, is you buy the trading style from the insolvency practitioner, and then when you've done it, you advertise it in the London or the Edinburgh Gazette, and you write to tell all the creditors, okay? So you've got, when you're doing this, you've got to do it properly. You've got to preserve all your records. You've got to go through an investigation from an insolvency practitioner. You've got to comply with the insolvency practitioner. That's lawful. What's not lawful is basically getting rid of the liabilities and nicking the assets, hiding the records, paying directors to front the company. Listen, it will all get unravelled and it will all come crashing down because you've got duties as a director and you've got to understand this stuff. Once you're insolvent, so you can't pay your debts when they fall due, the liabilities are more than the assets, your duty shifts to creditors. And that means you can't make the creditors' positions any worse. You can't dissipate or nick assets. You can't prefer to pay certain creditors over other ones. You can't misrepresent your position. You've got to act in good faith. And if you don't do this, you'll be disqualified. You can be made personally liable. Listen, in the worst cases, people will go to prison. But a clean break comes from compliance, not avoidance. So how, as a director, can you vet an insolvency advisor? Okay, if you're offered a solution, first of all, is this guy a licensed or girl a licensed insolvency practitioner? If not, do they work with licensed insolvency practitioners? What process are they offering me? Okay, what's going to happen to company assets? How are the creditors going to be informed and treated? What are your risks personally? Is everything documented and defensible? And if any answers are vague, run a mile, okay? Because guess what? A director first, we don't promise like magic resets. We don't promise no risk. We promise proper process. Full disclosure about problems, lawful structuring. We give you clarity on any personal risks. Because that's what's going to protect you in the end, understanding what's about to happen. Now, the insolvency system exists for a reason. It protects everyone, including directors, when it's used properly. Shortcuts don't protect you. They expose you. And if something sounds too good to be true in insolvency, guess what it generally is? If you're under pressure and someone's offered you a walk-away solution, pause. Speak to us. We'll tell you if it's legal or not. We'll tell you what's dangerous. And we'll tell you if someone's going to come back to bite you on the arse. Now, there's always a solution, but only if it's done properly. Now, if you want to find out more about how a pre-pack works, go over there. It'll talk about pre-pack admin, pre-pack liquidation, the valuation process, the steps you can follow to do it cleanly. Thanks for your time, Chris Worden.